Squiz Kids!
It's your daily news fix. Fun, free, fresh.
Good morning and welcome to Squiz Kids, your fresh take on what's happening in the world around you. I'm Bryce Corbett. It's Wednesday, November 25. In Squiz Kids today, Queensland opens its border. Trump admits defeat, sort of. Croc explosion in the NT, and Charli D'Amelio breaks a record. That's what's making news, kids style.
The lowdown.
Christmas has come early for Sydney-siders desperate to get a fix of palm trees, beaches and coral reefs. Or maybe even their Queensland relatives. After news yesterday that Queensland will open its borders to residents of Greater Sydney metropolitan area from December 1. Airlines immediately began adding extra flights to Queensland yesterday as Sydney-siders rushed to book a Christmas holiday in the Sunshine State. Hotel owners, tourism operators and theme parks up north also reported a flood of inquiries. And a tantalising glimmer of hope was dangled in front of Victorians yesterday too, with the Queensland Premier Anastasia Palaszczuk saying things were going so well down Melbourne Way that there could be an announcement today on opening the border to Victoria. Gosh, it's going to be crowded up there.
Spin the globe.
Each day we give the world globe a spin and find a news story from wherever it stops. And today we've landed in Washington, D.C., capital of the United States, where President Donald Trump has given his first indication since the US election was held 20 days ago that he might just maybe perhaps leave the White House. Normally, when it becomes clear a political leader cannot win an election, they will issue what's called a concession, which is to say they throw their hands in the air and say to their opponent, "All right, you win." But since the November 3 presidential election, President Trump has refused to concede defeat, instead launching a series of lawsuits to try to prove he won. But in the midst of one of his many tweets yesterday, President Trump said he had told government officials to start preparing for the arrival of the president-elect Joe Biden. It's not an official concession by Trump, but given the unconventional way he's approached all other aspects of his presidency, it might be the closest the world's going to get.
Animal Kingdom.
You might remember yesterday we told you the story of the platypus and how scientists were considering whether it needed to be put on the endangered species list. It's safe to say that's not a list that Australia's saltwater crocodile needs to be put on, following news yesterday that a new study has been launched into the impact of an exploding population of salties in the Northern Territory. The saltwater crocodile was placed on a protected species list back in 1971, and since then, the population in the NT has gone from about 3,000 crocodiles to well over 100,000. That's a lot of sets of razor-sharp teeth and snapping jaws. The 3-year study by Charles Darwin University researchers will look at what impact the crocs are having on the ecosystem in the top end, and whether there's enough food to sustain them, as well as what impact they could have on the human population in the territory.
Pop Culture Corner.
She dances in front of her phone for a living, which is apparently a thing. And as of yesterday, TikTok sensation Charli D'Amelio is a record breaker, having become the first person on the social media site to attract 100 million followers. The 16-year-old from Connecticut in the United States has made a small fortune out of her TikTok popularity, but it hasn't all been rosy. There have been cyberbullies and public scandals, all of which the teenager has said have taken a toll on her. She's spoken publicly about internet fame and how it can disappear as quickly as it happens, and that, at the end of the day, is not really a thing to chase after. As Charli herself says in her TikTok bio, "I don't get the hype either."
Rosie's Recipes.
Every second Wednesday, we stick our head into the Squiz Kids' kitchen to see what Rosie's been cooking up. And this week, she's been back baking, whipping up a recipe sent in by 10-year-old Zoe from Melbourne. It's Zoe's marvellous banana bread. And having had a slice or three myself, I can guarantee it is indeed most marvellous. Zoe says she bakes this bread to put in her lunchbox, and with only weeks left to go of school, it seems like the perfect moment to perfect your banana bread game. You know, so you have it up your sleeve for next school year. The recipe and photos of the process and finished product are all on the Squiz Kids website. And remember, if you have a favourite recipe that you'd like Rosie to try, send it on in to squizkids@thesquiz.com.au.
Time for the Squiz.
This is the part of the podcast where you get to test how well you've been listening. Question number 1. Which Australian state has just opened its border to Sydney-siders? That's right, it's Queensland. Question number 2. What's the name of the incoming President of the United States? Yeah, it's Joe Biden. Question number 3. Who's the TikTok star that's just hit 100 million followers? You got it, it's Charlie D'Amelio.
Shout-outs.
It's November 25. Birthdays for Aussie cricketer Peter Siddle and TV presenter and Australia's most famous carpenter, Scotty the Blockhead Cam. It's also only 30 sleeps till Christmas. Rudolph is warming up his nose. It's also a special day for these Squiz Kids celebrating a birthday today. Zayden from Shoal Bay, Thomas from Erskineville, Frank from Albury, Lily from Abbotsford, Mattia from Bondi, Francis from North Bondi, Tani from Ashmont, Beatrix from Millthorpe, Isla from Cooperoo, Eleanor from Brunswick West, Dylan from Berry, James from Ivanhoe, Josie from Orange, Atav from Parramatta, and Poppy from East Gosford. Happy birthday to you all. And today's classroom shout-outs go to 5U from Mudgeeraba Creek State School, 23L from Burragal Public School, Class Hyundai and their teacher Miss Grusso at Oran Park Public School, Class 5-6C with Mrs. Colasa at Rangebank Primary School, Class 5C at Winona School, and Miss Spawn's Room 4 class from Craigburn Primary School. Don't forget, if you've got a birthday coming up and you want a shout-out, or if you're after a classroom shout-out, drop us a line at squizkids@thesquiz.com.au. Well, that's all we have time for today. Thanks for listening to Squiz Kids. We'll be back again tomorrow. In the meantime, get out there and have a most excellent day. Over and out. Squiz Kids is proudly supported by the Judith Neilson Institute for Journalism and Ideas.
Squiz Kids.
It's your daily news fix. Fun, free, fresh.